time to build. Keys to consciousness. I am your host, Don.
I'm the other host, Chris.
And we got a lot to talk about today. Um, first, first and foremost, we want to thank everyone that viewed last week and that commented. We appreciate it. That's very much appreciated. That's what we wanted. Um, we asking for it now. I mean, yeah, don't be afraid. Feel free to give us a call if you would like to build personally during the live. The number is 515-599-1687. Again, that's 515-599-1687.
That's right. So, like my brother Don just said, we're looking for people to call in to build. Like I said before in the previous session, we talked about pimping and panning in the black community. We want people to build with us, like-minded people that's not afraid to actually speak their mind. So from that standpoint, like my brother said, he provided the phone number. We want you guys to join, but we do want to kind of talk about some of the comments that were left in our previous session that we did on pimping and pandering in the black community, how that's impactful. We talked about what? The church. What else we talked about, bro?
We talked about the church. We talked about the government. It's just, and that's just a few things that are the ways that we as a community are being pimped and pandered. And as we continue on with these podcasts, we'll show you more, give you more evidence, hardcore evidence to support the facts that we're saying.
Facts. So I do want to call out some comments that was left previously. Like I said, we'll probably do this on every show before we get started and jump into the next topic. We want to spell out and give some shout outs to some folks that had some comments. I saw where somebody, at least Keys, had left a message saying this is what a podcast needs to sound like. That's real. That feels real good because we know people are actually listening and actually like what we're providing. So that was one of the comments. Another one of comments that was by KK Taway said these are all facts, no lies were being told. So yet again, we got an example of where we're communicating and we're reaching people and they're paying attention. So that's a major plus. Another comment that was by DPHEN, DPHEN. They say, in a sense, we put money over everything, and that's the truth. We're quick to say to another person, "I got more money." And I think my bro Don was talking about, the pastor was all, "I got my money. I'm already in a good situation."
I'm already rich. Yeah, I bet.
Right. So from that perspective, we see that people are paying attention. Another one commented was said churches now have more gospel than an actual talk show.
True.
Again, where are the lies being told, bro? Do you feel that that's to be true?
That is the truth. That is the truth. There's more gospel going around in the church than it is in anywhere.
I agree 100%. Another person sent a message. We're going to probably wrap it up with like maybe 2 or 3 more comments before we jump into what we need to jump into. Another comment was, "Great job, fellas. Proud of you. Bringing positive change and trying to open eyes." And I think that's definitely what we're trying to do is open eyes, let people know, hey, man, there's a different way to look at this stuff and how to concretely get together and build. Quit being scared and just open up and say, hey, man, how can I make an impact locally and nationally? And that's the gist of it. So another comment, the main thing is good and evil. Evil has an army. The good is going to be blindsided because of religion. It's confusion, and good-hearted people, they're the ones that get beat down and they need to form their own army, which we're trying to do. It's not, knocking people for their religious beliefs or how they may stand on certain things, but it's like, how can we get together to build? And that's what we really, really want to do. What's your thoughts on that, bro?
The whole point is it's not about, like I said last week, it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about the collective good, the greater good for for everyone.
Thanks.
We may not believe or think it the same way. With that being said, it's best for us to come to a common ground. If we look at the other nationalities, that we said this last week, the Asians work with the Asians, the Arabs work with the Arabs, the white people work with the white people, the Hispanics work with the Hispanics. It seems like we're the only ones, the group of people that when it comes to unity, it's like it's hard. It's like oil and water. It don't mix, and we're trying to break those curses.
Yeah,
So
and I'm glad you said that. I mean, legitimately, we got to break those curses, and like I said, we gotta get to a point where we really, really hold ourselves accountable and build together. That's the only way we're gonna get ourselves out of these situations. Like my brother already said, we're gonna show you guys again another breakdown of what's going on. So the last one that we're gonna kind of share with you guys is to let you know people are reaching out and posting comments and they want to participate. Rayshawn Kathy 1266 said, them guys in the suits, and I know he's talking about the pastors. Them guys in the suits are lining their pockets and don't care about the people, deceiving people, put people by putting God's name on it. And that was he was just saying from the Bible, Mark chapter 13, verse 5 through 6. And Jesus answered them, begin to say, that take heed lest any man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying I am Christ, and shall deceive many. So, what's your thoughts on that before we wrap it up? So those are some good comments.
basically it was self-explanatory. I mean, it tells you, that in the coming in that there are going to be people that use his name, in order for profit. And basically, we showed that last week on, with those clips with with him dancing on the money. Oh, anoint this money. Now, come on, now, that's, you anointing for who? That money going in your pocket. That's not going back to the community.
Yeah, it's just a form, bro, of debauchery, and that's kind of how they try to play on us, as individuals in the black community. So we got to step up and start thinking. Like you were saying, I think in the last podcast, we need thinkers. People, when you become a thinker, you start thinking outside the box on things and really finding different ways besides what they placed in front of you. That's the only time we're going to see some real change and growth. But we ain't going to belabor the moment and all that, but we at least want to just, shout out everybody that left comments. And if we didn't get to your comment, trust me, we saw them. We want to build. So I'll hand it over to my bro. We're going to jump into it.
Well, one more thing before we start. I would like to give a shout out to our sponsors. In between the videos that we show while we're talking, you will see some of the sponsors that sponsor us flash across the screen, like this one, LC Creatives, the maker of these T-shirts.
Thank you for the love.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Also, I want to give a shout out to Keys Cartel, another clothing line, Black Euphoria, another clothing line, and mind you, all of these businesses are black owned, as well as Keys Mobile Services.
That's right.
So we want to thank you, and we want to thank everyone that's watching live. Those that are streaming, feel free again to leave comments in. If there is something that we see that in the comments, we will speak on it if we have time.
Don't be scared.
Yeah, right. And or again, we will say again, please call in. Feel free to call in and live and build with us. The number one more time is 515-599-1687.
That's right.
All righty, bro. So
let's jump to it.
Ready to get in?
Yep.
Almost a dozen St. Louis public schools could be in jeopardy of closing. Fox 2's Blair Leday is joining us. She's in downtown St. Louis.
They are expected to vote on whether they will be closing 11 schools in the St. Louis public school districts, Sumner and Northwest High Schools.
Wait a minute, I apologize. I just want people to pay attention that with the list that she's about to list off, just pay attention and think about the demographic, the area in which these schools that are being closed. Where are these schools at, and who are they? Who the schools closing? Who do they affect the most?
Also, 6 elementary schools. Those would be Clay, Dunbar, Farragut, Ford, Hickey, and Monroe. Fanning Middle School and Cleveland Naval Junior ROTC would also close. Carnahan High would also be converted into a middle school. From the community, parents, teachers, and staff on what they should do to potentially save these schools. But as of now, there is no concrete plan. He says that the way to do that would be to figure out a way to get more students enrolled or get more money to go to fund the education of these schools.
She said to either have more enrollment or to have more funding for the schools. Now, my question is, I don't understand how that could be either or, because if you have more students but you don't have enough funding, then the school is still going to be hurt because it's going to be teaching outdated curriculum.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The actual things and tools that they need to learn, they're not going to get the same that county schools get. You know, the ones out in South in Ladue or you know Rockwood Summit or you know the Brentwood. We're not those schools that are affected by these closings. They're not getting the same fundings so even if you do have more children in the school, if there is no funding, then you're a dog chasing your tail.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, you know, honestly, we're gonna get into some numbers specifically about kind of like what's going on. But to your point, unfortunately, the schools that are impacted are the schools strictly in the city. And then if you looked at the last portion of it, they was talking about the one school, Trinity, which was predominantly a black Catholic school.
Well, I haven't got to that.
Oh, yeah, well, okay, well,
Yeah, that was that was just the city schools that we was talking about, and that was the reason why I was asking the question. Is like, who's being affected by by the school closings? The school closings are in the city. They're in the inner city, you know. And is it? Yeah. I had a question for you. Know that we talked about this the other day. How many times have you heard of a South County school about them being in threat of being closed down, or lack of accreditation?
You don't hear it. So to your point, I mean, unfortunately, that's the only thing that seems to be a common thread with the black schools. So you see that they typically close down due to a lack of quote unquote funding, or they're not accredited anymore. So it's not just the schools that we mentioned, but I remember back in the day, there was a whole thing going on with Normandy. Normandy had the same issue where there wasn't any accreditation. So again, if that school isn't funded properly and quote unquote don't have the money to make this happen, where does it leave our kids? It leaves them having to go to a school somewhere out in the county, you know, like we had the
Bus
same.
stop for an hour.
Right, and we experienced it. So we're not just talking about something we don't know about. This is something that we experienced even with the Brown versus Board of Education. That whole process moved us from, you know, we stayed in Wellston to now we got to get bused all the way out to Rittner School District just to get quote unquote an education. So that in itself is a problem. So I know you're gonna push the clip a little bit further on another school that was impacted, but this is an ongoing thing. It really is.
Developing news in North St. Louis County. The St. Louis Archdiocese announced this afternoon it is closing Trinity Catholic High School in Spanish Lake at the end of the year. A spokesman for the Archdiocese says closing the school was a very difficult decision. Declining enrollment and the cost of maintaining that school building are to blame.
We're losing population. Everybody knows that. How do you get population? You grow kids. How do you grow kids? You support them. How do you support them? You provide them with the resources. So I think that's what really needs to happen.
Wow. The cost of maintaining.
Right.
So speak on it again.
Okay. So, all right. For those that are viewing this or streaming this, Trinity was a Catholic high school. Trinity was a Catholic high school that it was in North County, and majority of its students were minorities. And just as we were just speaking about, as the city schools are being closed down or in jeopardy of shutting down or being non-accredited, it's the same as with the high schools that are in the black communities in like North County. When there are predominantly minorities that go to this school, then why is it that when the minorities are there, then the school becomes unaccredited? Or it starts that particular district doesn't spend the money the way it should for that particular district. I understand it doesn't make sense to me, And then when I actually stayed out there by Trinity.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So and a couple of guys that I cut their hair. They went to Trinity. Basketball and football, some went to college, and I mean decent kids, but the thing is that when you don't have the funds and you don't have the resources, then it gives an open way to do negative things.
Yeah, but supposedly we don't have the funds. But I got some information I kind of want to go over with you guys that's listening. So we got 3 levels to this. Where is potentially the money going? So we still we hear all this just jibber jabber saying that they don't have the resources, the funds, or whatever. But let's take a deep dive in this, and everybody should be able to relate to this because this impacts everybody in Missouri and maybe even nationwide, depending on where you're at. So one of the things that they say is that we don't have money, right? So when you take a step back, what things that we quote unquote should be benefited from now? the new marijuana legislation that passed, where now these marijuana shops and everything, they're open, they're getting taxed 6%. Let's keep in mind, we're going to say 6%. We're going to get into some numbers too. So we're saying 6% is what they're going to be taxed, right? So that's one of them. Another one is the lotto. Keep in mind, a lotto should be dropping money towards the school as well. That's what was mandated. Thirdly, the gambling. So everybody knows Missouri is a big gambling state. So we have tons of money, quote unquote, that's unaccounted for. So let's just take a step back. I mean, we can talk about each one of them. So with the whole situation with the marijuana, so they legalized it here. They're taxing these particular areas. They're saying that by the state taxes, they're going to take 6% from whatever they actually net. And I think we were kind of discussing it, just talking in general. I think just 6% of, we'll just say, this is being modest.
6% of what was it? 6 billion?
Yep. No, I don't think it was. I don't know if it was that much.
6 trillion or something like that.
No, it wasn't 6 trillion. So So I'll get the actual number, but just from looking at it specifically with weed, they were saying that the actual net amount they brought in was 60 million initially. Okay. And that's just really from just a small little startup. So this has just started happening. So where's that money going?
Right, and that's just the marijuana. That's just the marijuana. I just pulled this up, and this was actually posted 3 days ago, and this is on. You can look it up on Google. It says representatives said that the tax on gambling will generate tens of millions annually to help fund Missouri education. The fiscal note shows that it could generate nearly $30 million. $30 million. And it's saying that this is what we voted for when we agreed to have gambling and agreed to have marijuana sales in there. This is what we agreed for the money to go. But as we see, somewhere down the pipeline is not the money's not getting funneled to where it needs to be, and that's one of the biggest problems. As we see, actually this video showed, because we don't just want to look at the problem, we want to, figure out a solution.
Right.
And one of these clips, give a small piece of where we can start to, to generate change.
Yep. But not to overlook them parts as well. But we just kind of called these out. So we're saying a minimum of, we'll say $60 million that could potentially go to help with schools. Education. Just on weed alone. You just gave out a phenomenal number.
30 million.
Yeah. So, and then we're not even talking about the lotto. I think the lotto said that they generate well over 80. So thus far, they said that from a gambling standpoint, that thus far since 1994, they have paid out $7.6 billion. 7.6 billion. So you think about that for a minute, and specifically just alone in 2023, $363 million. So again, when you just heard the mayor say on there, we need more people, we need more kids, we need to grow them up, we need more funds, etc. There is a mismanagement of resources, simple and plain. And like my brother, we're going to get to in a little bit, but I just want people to sit back and think about it, not rush through it and say, hey, yeah, that sounds good, but why is that? Why is nobody paying attention to this, calling this out when they have this stuff as public record to let you know this is where the funds should go, but they're not going there. Right. So that's alarming. And kind of back, and I know you got something to say, but coming back to this, we said this on our last podcast, was that's why it's so important for us to have this grassroots organization. We want people to build with us. We have to find an alternative instead of doing what we typically do. We vote either Democrat. Well, we've been typically voting Democratic as black people. You got son is voting Republican, and like we said last time, you're not really seeing change in either way. Either way. It doesn't matter. So we need something independent. We need to find independent folks that's going to start to advocate for the black community and for folks that really, really need the resources. So, and
not just advocate, but honestly stand behind the black community. Not just sit back and during the election time, being in our face trying to kiss our babies, and then after election, then you go on in the win. That's something that I think that, especially if we ever find, I don't want to say if, I say when we find a representative to do that, that's something that we're going to have to hold them accountable for. You know, if you tell us you're going to do this, if you tell us you're going to do that, and we stand behind you, and we get into these lines and vote, and we, you know what I'm saying, we put our money and our funding and our energy behind you, you're going to have to stand on what you say. Accountability. And I think that's one of the biggest problems in this world today is no one wants to be held accountable.
So I got a question for you. What do you, in your theory, if we're saying this grassroots movement and making this happen, do you see a benefit in having a body of people that's really stepping up and is on the same page to go to these folks and
Yes.
or pay attention and broadcast their
Yes.
behavior and what they're doing in their voting record and how they do things?
Especially in this day and age, because this is a time of information. So
Facts.
pretty much whatever it is that, you know, if you say you're going to do something, and there's a way to find out whether you're doing it, you're upholding to your word or not.
Facts.
And if you're not, then we'll be down there at City Hall. Hey, bro, this is what you said. You know what I'm saying? This is a contract, a legal contract that you said that this day. If we backed you that you would do this, you would do that.
Yep.
I don't see it done. So either you're going to get it done, or we'll see you in court.
Yeah, and I love that you say that because that's what we absolutely need to have happen, and that's the importance of the grassroots movement. But if we don't do it, and I know you're gonna jump into this other section or whatever, and we're gonna go through some stuff. But if we don't change our way of thinking and get on one accord and get on code, meaning that we're looking out for the interests of our community, we're already in a bad situation right now. We're the last in the totem pole for a lot of things, and we're not taken seriously. So, we're gonna talk more about it in detail. But bro, whenever you're ready, we can jump into some more of this.
Yeah.
This morning, tensions escalating on the Texas border. Dramatic new video shows a struggle between Border Patrol and migrants in El Paso. The video shows dozens of migrants pulling aside a razor wire fence, then pushing their way past a handful of Border Patrol agents.
How many illegal immigrants are in each state? Number 33, Missouri. Missouri, known as the Show Me State, has a diverse history dating back to its founding in 1821. One reason why illegal immigrants may be tempted to enter Missouri illegally is due to the state's abundance of agricultural and manufacturing jobs. According to FAIR, there are an estimated 77,000 illegal immigrants residing in the state.
Just look at that. Take time and look at that. Look at this picture right here.
Wow.
It says an estimated 77,000 illegal aliens live in Missouri. That's just our state alone.
Say that again.
77,000 illegal aliens live in Missouri, just in Missouri. Then look at the next one. It says there are roughly 27,000 U.S.-born children due to. So, so basically what this is saying is that out of these 77,000 that's here, they've given birth to 27,000 kids. Now, those children are actually U.S. citizens because they were born on this land.
Yep.
But then look at it. Look at the number of illegal aliens that flood our schools. 29,613.
And you just said this is just in Missouri
Just
alone.
in Missouri alone.
Whew.
And I just brought up Missouri just because that's where we are. This is the state that we're in.
Right.
But give it just a second, and we will let you know that Missouri is not the only state.
So to speak on that real quick, because we kind of focusing on Missouri first too. How is that impacting Missouri? So you just heard the mayor say that we need more kids and all this. It looks to me like the population is booming and growing.
Right.
So we can't really say that there's not a growth of population in Missouri as well. So that right there is one fallacy or a lie that was just told blatantly. But again, because people don't really know how this is impacted, because some people don't feel the burn yet.
Right.
But you know, we'll get into a little bit more. But just think about this for a minute. How is this impacting the black community? For one, everybody should be able to relate to this, and you can leave a comment later or say something, but the biggest thing that I'm noticing right now is the housing crisis. So keep in mind, we ever have a shortage in housing, and then you pick up the fact that now we have to find places for them to live. You know, we got to find a way to try to make this work. What do you think these landlords are going to do? You think they're going to be like, okay, we're going to keep the rent at $1,000? No, they're going to raise it. they're going to raise the rent. So everybody that's watching this should be able to just sit back from and say, have I really been impacted by the cost of my rent alone? And your rent is going up and will continue to go up because there is a crisis already with that. Another thing that's going to impact the black community if you're not paying attention, the job portion. Now you got all this unskilled labor that's coming in. They're going to take jobs that may be something they don't care. They'll work and do it
for next to nothing.
For next to nothing, because again, they can take their money, shoot it back to families in Mexico,
and bring them back here.
Yeah, bring them back, and also they'll live like kings and queens down there because the dollar is more impactful than the peso is in Mexico. So that's two. The third thing we got to kind of think about too. We just said this. The scary part is we're saying housing, we're saying this, but the employers can also lower the actual payout now. Yeah. So now they don't even have to pay as much. Because like if you don't want to work here, we can find Joe Blow to come in here and do it and won't complain at all
for nothing, a little to nothing, next to nothing. But that's like in the beginning of this, it said that the abundance of jobs. Okay, well, don't get me wrong, there are places to work and jobs. With that being said, like you just said, bro, the financial part, the cost of living is going up continuously. Every day you find out gas. Look at the gas prices, and then that's just to get you from here to there.
Right.
And a lot of times now the gas it's not even pure gas anymore. They water it down, so your car burns it a lot faster, which means you're going to have to go back to these gas stations more often, spend more money at a higher rate. You know what I'm saying? So it's all constantly just shoveling.
Right.
And it's hard especially when you have a large family. You your spouse, 3-4 kids. That's hard, especially you making what $10. What is $10 nowadays?
It's not gonna get you far.
Literally, you put $10 in your gas tank, it's gonna get you to another gas station. That's it.
And the last thing that I didn't want to overlook, and I know we're going to move to the next clip because we can sit here and talk all day about all this stuff, but another thing that frightens me is the social services. See, people don't think about this. We have people out here that are homeless, and that's why we have people out here that may have mental issues that's going on. All those funds are being stripped. So people just think like, oh, you guys are here just complaining and running your mouth about it. No, this is impactful. So when they move those resources from the citizens. Sector, from the citizens, and I'm glad you said that, from the citizens, and we're going to get into it some more, but from the citizens, and then, you strip it and move it to somebody else, how do you think the final outcome is going to be specifically for our community? It doesn't look good. So, I don't know if you
Invasion and replacement. Invasion and replacement. We just showed you how they forced themselves in here. Not saying that everybody, came in that particular way that you saw in the beginning, but that's what the border looks like. And according, you can go and look this up online too. I pulled this up off of YouTube, and it says, how many illegals are in the United States, and it gives a list of all 50 states and how many illegals are in each state. And it just so happened that Missouri was the 33rd state with the most illegals in it. And that's vexing to me. It truly is. The bad part for me is that the government acts like it can't see it. As much as we say and bring these things to the forefront, they act like they can't see it. Yeah. Is it that they can't see it, or is it they don't want to see it, or they turning a blind eye to it?
What you said, I feel like they turn a blind eye. And to your point again, this is invasion and replacement. So listen to the key words, what we're saying, because does it seem like it's an invasion and replacement, or just seem like we're just making this stuff up? We're not making this stuff up. What do we have to gain from saying this? We just trying to get people on code to understand.
Open their eyes.
Yeah, open your eyes and see what's taking place. Straight up.
Adding over 29,000 students to local schools.
Many of these folks are lifelong Democrats who are now actively working to shake up deep.
Now look at that. Misuse of funds is not just happening in Missouri. Missouri is not the only state. And look now, look where it is.
Chicago. Chi-town.
Chicago.
Blue Chicago, specifically because of how the mayor and the governor have handled the migrant crisis, doling out more than $1 billion so far for that. And here they are warning the mayor and city council about transferring another $70 million from the city's rainy day fund to take care of the migrants.
We need that money in my neighborhood. We need that on my block. So I'm asking y'all to use our tax money for our people. We need it.
You vote for the money for these immigrants today, and we coming for them seats. You can believe that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
They said, go ahead, bro.
So, to your point, they're saying specifically a rainy day fund. What does a rainy day fund mean to you? Just actually, what does a rainy day fund mean to you?
Well,
bro?
for me, I thought I would always, if I say a rainy day, when I say a rainy day, I would always say, just putting money aside for, if there's something that happens, then I need some extra bread.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, we'll get into the rainy day fund in detail as well. But Chicago alone paid out $138 million to care for migrants in 2023. $138 million
For illegals.
And you see these folks standing up and they talking to the mayor or whoever was up there, and they're saying to him, like, why are these resources not being used in our community? Why we can't even get $1 million to do something simple in our community? And that's why we're saying there's a replacement agenda going on. There's definitely an invasion that's taking place because they're pushing them specifically to heavily populated areas where
minority populated areas. And my question is, they're giving all this money to these illegals, to people that haven't done anything to benefit this country, but the ones that have helped put this country on their back to build this country to where they are. Expect that those of us that have legitimate companies, legitimate black-owned or minority-owned businesses, we can't get a freaking $10,000 loan to help get our business off the ground and up and running. But these people set foot, as soon as they step foot on her, they like you see they cashing out. They cashing out. And I don't understand. Does that make sense to people? Like the ones that already live here, you were born here. You've been through all type of things in America, trying to get a better situation for you and your family, and you get denied. But somebody that come from overseas or across the border, as soon as they come over here, they get blessed with the same thing you've been asking for your whole life.
Yep. I mean, I can see if it's something that we came here, Brandon. We've been over here, and unfortunately, this is a touchy subject for some people. They don't want to talk about it, but like even the whole reparations pool, the push. It's like there's a reason why our black people are saying this is because, for one, it's something that we earned and worked hard for. We go back to, not going to go too far back. We think about the 40 acres and a mule. That has never come to fruition. That's never happened. And unfortunately, black people sometimes are like an old loyal hound dog. We stay promoting the same people that don't wish us any good. And that's unfortunate because you've seen time and time again, it's the government officials. We're talking about the church. We're talking about just all the police, the pimping and the pandering that's taking place. We talked about this, and now you're seeing on the level how the government is also stepping it up and saying, "Hey, we're going to tell you whatever we want to tell you." But on this token, though, we're going to allow all these people to come in, like we just stated. We're going to aid them, give them tons of money. We're going to let them do some housing, social services where they can benefit from this and help their family, and they haven't put a dime into it. They're coming over here for a quote-unquote better life, and everybody just sitting back stagnant like, oh, well, this isn't impacting me. Yes, it is. If it hasn't impacted you yet, give it a moment. Give it a moment. Give it a moment. So, again, and I know we're going to kind of keep kind of pushing this, but I want to just say alone just with Chicago, because we were talking about them, they said the $40 million that it's costing Chicago a month. A month. This is not even, come on. Give the black community $40 million a month and see what we do with it. But $40 million a month that they're doing, and there's no way they're going to be able to keep it up. What's going to happen is it's going to bankrupt most of these places. And what's going to happen, you're going to have anarchy, crime. That's an issue already. So they're already saying that, and we can talk about that later, but there is a crime element to this too, because a lot of folks, some of the folks that's coming over here aren't necessarily just stand-up citizens just trying to get in. Some of them out here doing hot thefts, because if murder. You say, where are these people coming from? The most are coming from Mexico. A good portion is coming from Venezuela, and then you also have some folks coming from China. That really threw me off. You got some coming from China, and then you also have them that's coming from Africa. They coming over here in boatloads.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Vast numbers.
So what we're saying is we're just trying to open everybody's mind to what's really, really going on. If you take it personal, say, well, y'all just saying this, you hating on the people trying to come over here a better life. It's not about that. Listen for a second. We are trying to focus in on the people that's been disenfranchised here in United States for years.
Yep.
So until we kind of sit back and say, hey, let's take care of these people first. Let's get them off the street. Let's get them in a good situation. Being black people the way we are, we typically step up and try to help other people. That's in our nature. Most of us are, good-hearted people, so we all about the help. But when are we ever gonna get the support and help that we need?
Right.
So I say that and just kind of want to level set with y'all again and say that's a lot of money that's being pushed out on a
You said
consistent
$40
million a month.
That's almost $500 million a year, bro.
And they said this was something they said by mid-November the state spent, this was last year, spent $478 million to care for the migrants. $478 million. I'm just telling you where the money go. Of the $130 spent by city officials to care for migrants in 2023, more than $59 million came directly from Chicago taxpayers.
Yep.
So here's the thing: we flipping the bill whether you believe it or not. So you can sit here and say, well, we need to help them out. Y'all taxes are going to continue to go up. And they say, well, it may go up a couple dollars. You need every dollar you can have with the cost of living, the food, the housing, everything behind it. So until we pay attention to those things that's impacting us in the black community and quit being afraid and silent and not stepping up and saying something, it's only going to get worse. And it's not fear taxes. These are facts. I'm giving you straight numbers.
Yeah. So think about it, though, bro. Honestly, in a way, we honestly paying for our own pimping and pandering as well as invasion and replacement. We paying for that. You see what I'm saying?
You can't say it any better than that. What else do you call it?
Yeah, we paying for it. Like, we pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? The tax money that we pay is supposed to go to support our community. You just read that the tax money that we paying is going to help immigrants, people that are not beneficial to this community.
Yep.
Or that have not been beneficial to this community. So in other words, we basically paying for our own pimping and pandering as well as the invasion and replacement.
Absolutely.
We paying the government to allow other people to invade our communities, and then we're also paying them to replace us.
Yep. And I know we're going to move on, but just to your point, bro, it's just unfortunate because I think a lot of people just don't see the writing on the wall. If they can replace, why do you think that Biden and good old Camilla hasn't really said anything about it? They want to replace you. They want those votes. If they get something passed where now the illegals can vote, you don't think the illegals wouldn't vote for that policy to continue to fund their lifestyle and fund them to come over here? Why wouldn't they? And you can't even be mad at them. Because we're not mad. We're just telling you guys facts to say, hey, this is going to impact all parties, and not just, here's the thing, not just black people. I'm talking about the middle class white folks and all that, et cetera. You guys are going to be impacted as well. So,
hey, for those of you all that think that the government doesn't, or that it's just about white or black, it's not about that. It's about the haves and the have-nots.
Whoa, say it again.
It's about the haves and the have-nots. I don't care what color you are, white, black, yellow, green, purple, red, whatever. If you don't have a particular statue in this community, or if you don't have a particular certain amount of money, or there's something that you in some way that you can't provide for this the perpetuation of this bull stuff, then you looked up on as quote unquote a nigger. And I don't mean a black person. I mean an ignorant person. That's what a nigger is. It's an ignorant person.
Yeah. And I had one last thing I want to say. I did not want to slide. This was something else that I picked up. They said 1.5 million. The Chicago City Council agreed to buy 10.7 acre and building complex on 3034 West Foster Avenue, once used by the Marines for shelter. That's for the migrants.
Wait a minute.
So they're buying them land.
So now that goes back to what I just said. We're paying for our own pimping and pandering, as well as paying for it to be invaded and replaced. We're paying for that.
Absolutely.
So now I understand the frustration that those sisters had, in Chicago. I truly understand. Like she said, this is our money. We need that. Put that money into our community, not into these people that haven't done anything. Yep. You know, and until we stand up and unify, it's going to keep happening. This is going to be the same scenario year in and year out if we don't stand up and unify together. That's the word. They buying up 10 acres?
Yep.
10 acres.
No, they said specifically that. Let me go back. They bought up. Yeah, you're right. 10.7 acres.
10.7 acres.
That's a lot of land.
That's a lot of land. You know what you can put on 10 acres of land?
Can do a lot.
Literally. I mean, come on. And how much do you think they actually pay for that?
You know they got that good old discount. Yeah. You know they got the. I mean, because it's the government that's behind it and making it happen. So they gonna write it according to how they want it to work.
Exactly.
So and saying all that, man. I mean, again, I know we're gonna jump into another clip or whatever. We're gonna talk about what we see there, but we just want people to understand that it's a true invasion that's going on. There's tons and tons of folks that's populating and coming over here every day. Like, it's not a small number, but we're gonna jump into it.
Many are asking, does it piss you off or is it the right thing to do? There's a lot of talk around the country about New York City's new Helping Hand program. It provides migrant families with prepaid debit cards. $53 million have been given to the program, which will give asylum seekers arriving at the Roosevelt Hotel money.
Pause. Do y'all see this? What does it say? Roosevelt what?
Luxury
hotel.
Luxury hotel. Now my question, how many of the viewers that we have, how many of you all stay in a luxury hotel? And when you have, how long did you stay? I guarantee you wasn't as long as these people stay. I guarantee you. And I guarantee you paid a lot more than what they paying, because it's all free ski for them.
The Roosevelt Luxury Hotel. This ain't your your
red roof.
Yeah, this not your red roof. They said Roosevelt Luxury Hotel. Wow,
Look at these people's faces. Look at their faces. Oh yeah, we finna go ahead and eat good, swim good, got a weight room.
And one thing I was wondering too, not to get off topic, I wonder if they get room service.
Hey, of course. Of course they do. They ain't finna have no people go downstairs and cook the food themselves. Come on. So they getting treated like they getting pampered while we getting pandered. Come on. Make it make sense. That's what I want to know, like literally. And it's one of these days we gonna wake up as a whole. We will wake up as a whole.
But until then, to your point, the government will continue to do what they do. Will be business as usual. They're gonna continue to pimp, pander. The invasion is real, and the replacement is definitely taking place if you're not paying attention.
To help them buy food, sports journalist Stephen A. Smith does not agree with that choice.
I see homeless folks in the streets of New York all the time that are American citizens. I damn sure see them in California. We've got poor, impoverished, starving people who were born and raised in this nation. How in the hell do we come up with a $53 million pilot program
Preach.
for illegals, but folks who are here legally are born here, we don't have enough of them?
Should migrants be given prepaid cards to the tune of $53 million? A majority voted no at 67%. Kevin Fulton, attorney, your thoughts on this program in New York City by Mayor Eric Adams?
It's absolutely trash. First of all, I understand people who are coming here for a better situation for themselves. But before we get to them, how about the blacks who have been in this country for generations that are still trying to get a better situation for themselves? New York, when you look at the demographics, 56% of the people in homeless shelters, black. 40% of households with kids are food insecure. So New York already has a problem in the demographics that have impacted the most for blacks. Blacks have to stop giving their votes to politicians who are not earning it. In New York, they want to give away $53 million instead of making sure that families that have been there that helped build up New York are taken care of first, and that's not what they're doing. So we have to do better with our vote.
If migrants come here, then you'll find them on the streets as well, and it's a growing problem.
It is a growing problem, which is why the border needed to be shut down. You cannot take care of the influx that are coming in. It's just not possible. We already have a population on the streets, whether it's veterans, mentally ill. We already have people on the streets that are not being taken care of because there's not enough money being put towards that population. Now you have an increase of a new population that you also have to take care of. So if we have to take care of anybody, we take care of the ones that have been here first, that have been suffering for generations already, who helped build this country up. That's why I say you start with the money.
In 10 seconds, that's all we got.
Hey, no rhetoric, Isaiah. It's just facts. Black people are out there suffering in New York, and they're taking that money and giving it to a population who hasn't put anything into this country.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us.
Hey, I mean, I don't know if it could be said any better. The brother said, like, how is it that you can take care of other people but you're not taking care of the ones who help build your community, to help build your country, to help build your state? You want to push them to the wayside, but I guess in hopes that these new people that you bringing in will, like we saying, replace us. I mean, I really don't see any other reason for that.
It's for me is definitely demoralizing, and the sad thing about it is that I don't think a lot of people even pay attention or really care. I think that people are just wrapped up in a situation at the moment and not looking at the long term setup, the situation. So long term, we're going to be in a situation where our backs are against the wall because people were not paying attention and saying, hey, here's an opportunity for us to really start to grow and build. And that's why we've been saying for the longest, hey, we looking for, like-minded people that want to build and grow. Is because when we look at the statistics, think about this for a minute. Texas has been shipping, these illegals, man, up to Chicago, New York, here, Colorado, at record numbers. And truthfully, to be told, they can't handle it. Like, Chicago's going to be bankrupt. If we continue on our trend, we will be bankrupt. New York is going to be bankrupt. Colorado's going to be bankrupt. Everybody's pushing back now. Everybody's like, we can't do this. But the borders are wide open now.
The floodgates are open. The floodgates are open. It's like, I understand humanitarian thing. I understand it. Right. True and all. Everyone should have the right to live life in a productive manner, a positive manner. Understandable. Not disputing that. My question is the same as what this brother just said, and Stephen A. How is it that you feel comfortable? I feel that it's right that you're taking care of people that haven't done anything for this particular country, but it's the ones that have been here and have produced and made things better for this country. We have to kick, scratch, bite, and crawl to get a morsel.
Right.
But they come over here, they get a whole loaf of bread, egg, a carton of eggs. And, you know what I'm saying? I don't eat bacon, but they give them turkey. Yeah, they give them a turkey bacon and everything. With a little strawberry jelly on the side. Right. Jeez. But we can't get a pack of ketchup.
And what was funny, we looking at that clip, it's not funny, but just looking at that clip, how they were saying that they're going to give them these prepaid, cards, with this money on it. So basically get a prepaid card, thousands, not just a couple $100, thousands of dollars
every month
to do whatever you want to do with that money.
Every month.
When have you seen something like that happen and nobody's saying nothing about it? Let it be somebody from the idea for the black community. Let's give them all $10,000 a month to let them do what they want to do with it. Boy, there would be an outcry from the heavens. Like, why is this happening? And who signed off on this BS?
No.
Right.
Why?
Right. So, in saying this, we got to kind of start seeing things for what they are. They're continuing to bust in these migrants, illegals, whatever you want to call them, consistently. And they're strapping and taking away resources. I mean, we talk about this, and I mean, it would take forever to go through the deeper levels of other impacts. But, like this man said, Stephen A. and all them said, how are y'all coming up with this money? How? I mean, they taking over the parks and stuff. Like, they have tent camps there at the parks in certain areas, whether it's New York, Colorado, Chicago. They got them in the police station, everywhere. So it's just like, it's not just one-off where this is happening. It's not just a few hundred here, a few hundred here. They know the game. I don't know if you guys were aware of that, like the whole squatting thing. They tell them examples of how to squat and move into people's places and not get evicted. Like, I think,
that's an actual law. that if you're actually a squatter and you were there and you've been like cutting the grass or whatever, you know, like that so-called quote unquote taking care of their property, they have to legally go down and file and get the sheriff to come out here, and that takes months. You know what I'm saying? So these people, you know, and I mean, I'm not advocating for the squatter. You know what I'm saying? The thing is that if there shouldn't be squatters. If we able to give 53 million, 100 and, you know what I'm saying, 100 and some $1 million to other people, why can't those funds be allocated towards the homeless people here, the people that are suffering here?
Right.
We understand we can't be everybody's savior.
I think you said something that's very important. We can't be everyone's savior, and I feel like, you know, the way this government is operating, they are saving everyone and looking out for everyone else but for us. We are at the bottom of the totem pole. I mean, we already have issues with our own levels of crime, our own issues related to, you know, not having, you know, necessarily the most coming in.
Mental health problems.
Yeah,
we have our own problems.
And it just seems like it's a downward trend, and it's not going to be favorable for us in the end. So I just hope that everyone is listening to this know that the solution isn't just instantly saying, hey, we'll vote for the Republicans because they're going to do this. It's not about that. And we said this in the last episode. It's the same bird, just two different wings. We need independent folks that's going to really stand on business and not get bought out. You know, a lot of people, they get bought out and sold, and they'll sell you under the rug. So, you know, you kind of think about it and say, well, you guys are saying this, maybe we need more people in higher levels of the government. You got to keep in mind, when they get into those higher levels of government, they assimilate to the way and the thinking of those people in those positions. So whether it's the judges, whether it's, you know, whoever it is,
attorneys, whether it be whomever,
they're going to follow the same blueprint. So that's not the solution. What we really, really need is for people to stand on code and on business and get together and unite and say enough is enough. Stop putting our resources into these situations and expect a different outcome. We gotta formulate a different plan. That's the only way we gonna see some real change, and it starts with us.
What did that sister say, Queen Latifah? U-N-I-T-Y, U-N-I-T-Y, unity.
Right.
That's what we need. And this is stuff that, you know, she was saying this back in, what, the 90s?
Yep.
That was the 90s.
Yep. Facts.
You know, this is stuff that we've been for decades, you know what I'm saying, centuries for real.
Yep.
You know, where we trying to get together. That's the only way that we're going to overcome this bullshit, is if we actually unite.
Yep. But they're winning, though. Like this war, like we just said, replacement invasion, they're winning this war right now because we're still caught up on the dogma of religion, and we're thinking that religion is going to save us and push us through the stuff that they're doing. Everything in the United States is built on black and white, and what I mean by that is written down. They operate via law and via code, and until we get to a point where we really pay attention that they are operating on their code that benefits them, and anybody else that like you said, the have and have-nots. If you're not in that calling, watch out, because you are under siege, and the siege is taking place right now. So I hope that people truly kind of relate to this and kind of understand. We're not bashing people, we're not looking down on people, but we are going to speak for our community and wanting some growth in our community. It needs to happen like now.
Yesterday. Yesterday.
Even better.
Shoot, to be honest, like, I mean, all we can ask, and this is what we're asking, is for like-minded people to come together so we can provide for our children, for our lineage, to make things better for our kids, our grandbabies, our great-grandbabies. You know, these are the things that, if you think about it, our grandparents, you know what I'm saying? You know, Grandpa Joe, you know what I'm saying? He laid a foundation and was trying to make the family better, you know. And as we got older, we were able to come to him, talk to him, gain some knowledge, whether, you know what I'm saying, from him. And it seems like there was some disconnect in between that particular age group and our parents' age group, our age group, and then our children's age group.
Right.
There's some disconnect there where we're no longer on the same page. It's like everybody's for self.
Right.
Oh, I'm about me and for me. If it ain't good for me, then I don't care. You know,
Right.
That's the bad part about it.
That's the definite issue.
Because it's like it's not all about you. It's not all about me. It's about us. When you see each other, when we see each other, instead of looking at each other sideways, we should be smiling. Hey, brother. Hey, sister. How you doing?
Right.
How's everything going? You know what I'm saying?
And that's what a division takes place. And I'm glad that you said that, because for those that haven't, watched the little first movie we was talking about, that's kind of why we started off with talking about that. Division starts right there in the church. The church is pushing this dogma, and like we said again, our black women are really the ones that's frontlining money-wise and able to get a lot of things going. We got brothers out here that's doing their business too. So I'm not knocking them, but for the most part, the church knows who to target.
Right.
And the church is targeting our women. And then on top of that, we have this division here where young black men do not know how to step up in a sense
And be
to
a man.
be a man and handle his business. So we got that whole disconnect there where it's the fighting. And I mean, we'll talk about this in a different, session in regards to the whole plan that the government put in place in regards to like the drugs, in regards to the Section 8, in regards to all this stuff. That stuff is impactful to our community. It's not. This is just not just how did we get here. This has been a systematic approach that's got us to this point. And until we sit back and really, really say let's debunk some of this stuff, knock some of this stuff out, and talk about it. Sometimes getting cut is a good thing. You can bleed and say, "Dang, why did I get cut?" The things you're doing is some BS.
Yep. You put yourself in that position to get cut.
Yeah, so we looking for, like I said again, like-minded people to build. Quit being scared. That's the biggest thing. I think that most of our people sit back and be like, oh, it's gonna work itself out. Quit being scared. What is it gonna harm you to step up? To step out and be heard, to build with other like-minded people. I just don't understand where that disconnect is. We have 1,000,001 opinions about stuff, but when it's time to put our feet to the pavement and actually stand on something, it's null and void. And the church ain't doing it. They not standing on business when it comes to stuff that we really need to address.
To us.
It requires us to really step up and say, hey, we see that there's an issue within the church. We see there's an issue with the government pimping and panning us. We see there's an issue now with the whole situation with these illegals coming over here, standing up, taking our resources, taking our money. That's just, we trying to bring this full circle so people can understand. Because sometimes people are like, I don't really get it. It's put right in front of your face and they don't care. Soon you'll be watching TV and most of it's going to be in Spanish. It'll be like you watching Telemundo. And that's not being funny. I'm dead serious because you're noticing like some of the commercials come up where it's Spanish. Either if you don't want to stand up, what you need, I would recommend that you do is go learn Spanish. You need to learn
Rosetta
Spanish. Rosetta Stone, for real, because that's the way we're heading if we don't stand on business, man. So. From my standpoint, I feel like we can continue to talk about this, but I think that we have some other options and other things we'll talk about at a later time. But we just, again, want to restate, come build with us. Don't be afraid to step up.
Don't be afraid to call. Don't be afraid to call in. Don't be afraid to leave a comment. Anything like we are interactive with this podcast. We're trying our best. It starts somewhere. We have to have, and before a building isn't just made. It doesn't just pop up. You have to lay one brick, another brick, another brick, another brick, another brick, and then and eventually those bricks put together become a home, a house, a shelter, a place of refuge. These are the things that the black community needs.
Absolutely.
And it's only going until we stop holding our hands out and pull up our sleeves and pull up our socks and just going out here and do it. We pretty much doomed to continuously on going through the same thing.
And this is the last statement I have on. I'm gonna shut it down for myself. But we said this, and it's the last time I'm gonna sit into the next session. We need like-minded people. We want people to build. We already told you that we're trying to get some stuff off the ground, grassroots. That's where you're going to see the biggest impact because we start to get other entities to come in. Say for instance, we just say Wally World, Walmart. They come in and say, hey, we're going to sponsor you guys and help you guys. There are strings attached to that.
I was just going to say
we want to be independent and be able to do what we want to do without an outside influence, a third party dictating us what we can and cannot do. Or you can't talk about this because we have these connections and ties to these groups. We don't want that. We want grassroots. People don't want to spend money and all that stuff, but we want people to build. We got to get land. We got to start doing our own thing with our own fruits, vegetables. We want to have a safe establishment for kids to go play, and not just in one area, but around the city. but we got to start from somewhere. So I would just ask for people just reaching out, saying, talk to your peers, have them, call in, check us out. We want to build with people. Even if you don't want to deal with us, tell some people that may be like-minded. We just want people that want to build and want to put their feet to the ground and make this stuff happen sooner than later. So that's all I got, man. I appreciate everybody joining in, for real. I really do.
I do too. We really do appreciate it. Would you like to tell them about the grassroots?
Yeah, so in regards to grassroots, like my brother Don has said earlier, we're looking to try to get some land. We have ideas what we want to do with the land, and you can put it in the comments and we'll follow up. But we have a GoFundMe going right now, Keys to Consciousness. You can look it up. We put it in in our chat, description box and everything. If you kind of check that out, if you got questions, you can always leave a comment and we will follow with you. But that's something that's important to us. I mean, we're not asking for $1 million. We want to be realistic. We're saying $10,000. I know my brother already done donated some money. We're looking for people just to donate. We're not asking for a lot of money. If all you can spare is $5, that's more than the $5 we had to go towards the goal of doing something. And like I said again, and if you are contributing, you leave, you're more than welcome to know all the ins and outs of what we're doing. We just want to
be transparent.
Yeah, fully transparent.
For those that are interested, that not just interested, but those that are invested within this for us, we have no problem with being totally transparent.
Facts.
With whatever it is, where the money is being allocated to. Who's giving the money, like what's being done with the money. Everything will be, for those that are invested into this, everything will be explained and expressed out.
Facts.
So again, we want to thank you for tuning in to Keys to Consciousness. I'm your host, Don.
And I'm the other host, Chris. And like I said again, we appreciate you guys for tuning in with us, and we'll be back again with another episode. Okay.
So again, one more thing, we want to say thank you to our sponsors, LC Creatives, Keys Cartel, Black Euphoria, and Keys Mobile Services. And if you would like to have your company or entity promoted upon this podcast, so leave a picture and a name or some contact information in the comments. And we'll reach out to you, and as you see, while we're talking, your company will be displayed as well.
Yeah.
So until then,
thank you again. Thank you. Everybody have a good evening. Hope y'all got some word from this, man. Everybody have a great day.
Keys to Consciousness. We out.
Conceited and restless. Mustang is on me, can't ride in no Teslas. Gripping the clutch, I don't know how to rest it. So I'm on go, you can't hear the perfection. Yes, dance to this beat is infected. Can't hear nobody when I get to stepping. Party look dead, might as well resurrect it. Came with a plan, so you gon' hear my message. Yes, you was a long way from home, so why don't you two-step your ass to this song? Just ringing and ringing, girl, give me your phone. I just wanna know what you was sipping on. Sipping on some